Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Thursday, and welcome back to another episode of Transplant Talk with Nashana. What's good, Transplant Talk Nation? I am super excited about today's guest. Super excited, but y'all know what we must do first, and that is say hello to everybody. I need to see all of the hellos. Hello, Tanya, in the chat. I need to know where everyone is from, and then also to make known that Transplant Talk is a nonprofit organization. So we are happy to be here bringing awareness about organ donations. We have over 100,000 people in this country waiting for the gift of life. What's up, Shell? How you doing, girl? How you doing? Thank you for all that you do for Save 1,000 Lives and Transplant Talk. That is my girl. I'm glad she is on my team. So tonight's show is the first person that I've had on my show to receive this type of transplant. Okay, I am super excited about him. He is Mr. Brian White II. I want to make sure that we honor him in that way, that he is the second. And he is the first double lung transplant recipient that I have had on my show. So, the shows just get better and better. We get more guests that have experienced organ donation, or we're honoring a loved one, or helping someone in need of a transplant. So, I want you all to sit back and enjoy this show when I tell you this young man's story is amazing, just like all of them. They are amazing. So, but his story you will want to hear. We say all the time here on Transplant Talk to make sure you find out your family history. Make sure you find out your family history because it's very important. And sometimes in our families, it skips a generation, or and then it might not get you, but it might get someone else, along those lines. So I want to make sure that you all are paying attention to what is going on. But I would be remiss if I do not give out a few shout outs. Okay. So first of all, y'all notice my shirt. Notice my shirt. I am supporting. And here we are supporting the fighters, admiring the survivors, honoring the taken, and never, ever even giving up hope. So I am in awe of the women and men that survive cancer. I am just in awe of their strength and their resilience to keep going. And some people have faced cancer multiple times and they have beat it multiple times. So I would be remiss if I did not also honor my oldest sister, Chantel Rollins, who is also a breast cancer survivor as well as a lupus warrior. So I want to make sure that we honor, anyone that have battled cancer. My school, First Coast High School, we get these shirts every year, anchored in hope, to also help, bring awareness to some of our staff that has actually had, um, cancer. So we thank you for never giving up and always thriving. I do have a special shout out to give to Alyssa Shellman. I don't know if many of you that might follow me on Facebook, I received word that a good friend that I've known since we were in junior high, that's older. Not you old when you say you went to junior high because it's middle schools now, but I still look good, right? I still look good. We good? Okay. So, so I want to give just my heartfelt condolences to Shayon Tresvant, my friend from Hialeah Junior High, and he's also an honorary Rocket. Um, And it just broke my heart to know that he passed away at 48 years old. You know, that number, I don't like that number. I do not like that number. But please make sure that you pray for the transplant family. He was an educator, all around good person, and we have kept in touch for over 30 years. So please make sure that you keep his wife, his children, his grandbaby, keep them in your prayers as they go through this difficult time and a difficult transition. And I'm hoping and praying that one day I can get her on the show so that we can honor her as well. So thank you all again for being here. Thank you, Jared. How are you, my friend? And then also my parents. Now they know I look for them all the time. So Major and Gwen Rollins in Merritt Island. Thank you all. Um, and it will be another great show, Dad. My dad and mother, Gwen and Major Rollins, Pastor Major and Glenn Rollins. Okay. So I have this young man backstage. He is ready. We had a awesome, great talk on yesterday. So you're gonna be amazed at what this young man tells you. But first, y'all gotta you also have to do this now. I need you to text, tag, share, all right, somebody about this broadcast because we're trying to get more viewers. And I also need people to register for my YouTube channel. Please register for the YouTube channel. It's Transplant Talk with Nishonda. If you all would subscribe, I'm trying to get 735 people to register for my YouTube page. So please, if you can, y'all go on over there to that YouTube page and help a sister out because I greatly need it. I really, really do. Um, all right, all right, Jared. All right, Jared. All right, so let's get on with the show and let's bring Mr. Brian White. We got a lot in common, y'all. A lot in common. So bring him on right now. Give him some heart. Show him some love right now. Right now. All right. Hey, Brian.
Hey now,
How
how
you
you
doing,
doing?
sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I am good. Listen, this is my second time
Hmm.
interviewing somebody from that Lone Star State where they say everything is bigger in Texas. So we are in Houston, Texas right now.
Correct.
And I'm so glad Brian said yes. By way of Michelle, y'all don't understand how much Michelle helps this helps my show. Like she really is an advocate
Hmm.
for organ donation. And again, we always honoring her precious son, Kendrick Murray. So, Brian,
Yes, ma'am.
go ahead and tell the people without giving up too much. Just tell them a little bit about yourself. Who is Brian?
Uh, I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay.
Yes, I am originally from Chicago. I'm always repping Chi-Town. That's my home. That's my
Okay.
land. I'm from the land.
Okay.
Just I just reside in Houston. I
Mm.
just planted my seed down here and said I'm gonna be here. But I'm originally from Chicago. But yeah, that's me. I'm came down here right out of high school. Came down here was in got a scholarship to be in the Ocean of Soul. Went to Texas Southern University. And the rest is history. I've been in the funk train, which is the drum section. I'm a musician. I play drums, been playing drums forever. That's
Well,
what got me down here, actually. And I would be remiss if I didn't, constantly. You're gonna hear me, throughout the interview mention my father and my parents a lot. And my dad was a big influential aspect of my life. He was,
mm,
real big in my life. So but yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I have a lovely wife and four beautiful children.
come on.
They all big. They trying to get up out of this house. Well, they gonna go. One way or another.
You said I got to go.
Yeah, they gotta go. So I just train them up in the ways that they need to go, and
Mm.
I let God do the rest.
Amen. Amen. So I heard you. Sorry, Mama. I heard you mention your wife.
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit more about your wife and how was she such a tremendous help to you?
Woo. My wife was pinnacle in this whole whole debacle with me. She my wife name is Michaela, Michaela White. She is, Man, that woman, she's something else. She was a strong part of what's going on in the hospital, dealing with the doctors. I mean, this was really an all new experience. This is an all of a sudden experience, so to speak, for
Mhm.
our whole family. And
Mhm.
when it came time to, when the rubber met the road, my wife really, stepped up and did what she needed to. And the doctors gave her a lot of respect. They let her come in doing their rounds and stand with them to hear. And they usually don't let the family come into those intricate parts when they're making decisions about a family member or making a decision about a patient and things of that nature. But she was there. They allowed her to be right there with them. She learned a lot, and that's what she would do, her due diligence and do her research, and then come back to them and talk to them about this medication or what about this, and those type of things. And they would, intrigued. They even got to the point they said, well, you need to go take the test and all this. But that's how much she really was into what was going on with me. And while I mentioned it, she's coming
Come on, wife.
hobbling down the hallway now.
Come
But
on, wife.
yeah, she's
Come
coming
on.
through. But she's moving around. She's trying to move around. She just had ankle surgery last Thursday, so
Oh,
she's not really fully up to everything right now because she's here. She's moving around, so
y'all
she
live.
has to move around because I don't
Yeah.
want no blood clots and nothing like that. So, but
Right.
that's my
Right.
baby. This my baby over here.
Come on, represent your wife, Michael. Love White. We appreciate you. We thank you for being the hero that you are, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Taking care of your husband. And that's what we're
Mhm.
supposed to do as wives. Take care of
And
our
she still
men.
do- she ain't stopped because, like I said, even her moving around, she's still taking care of me, and that's why I love her. So it's a give and take. We both, while she's down, I'm nurse. I don't have my nurse's uniform on right now, but once I get out this shirt, I'll be right back in my nurse uniform until I gotta nurse her
Okay.
back to health.
Okay. So y'all trade.
Yes, yes.
Y'all are trading. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what relationships are about, give and take.
Mm-hmm.
That is what relationships are all about. So God bless you and your
Thank
wife
you.
and your marriage. And we just want you to just keep striving, keep thriving together and
Thank you.
doing what you all are doing.
Absolutely.
So now let's start at the beginning.
Ooh,
Start at the beginning.
the beginning.
You how did you get on this road to needing a double lung transplant? What happened? Start at the beginning. Tell us what happened.
It was 2019, so this is met my 2 year mark at this point. So at that point, I think it was February, the end of February, going into the beginning of March, is where I was just sick. I worked it. I was working at FedEx. I was a driver for FedEx Express, doing what I normally do, finishing out my route. I was getting towards the end of my route, and by the middle of the day, I felt real icky, felt real bad, but just I kept pushing through. But I just felt like nah, something else because I felt drained. I never felt so drained before. So so I that night I just kind of relaxed, got myself together. Next morning, told my supervisor, hey man, I'm not coming in. The next day, I got up and I went to the doctor. Neighborhood, clinic over here is Memorial Herman down
Mhm.
here, and they looked at my saturation, my blood saturation with my lungs. So they said it was pretty low, and so then from there they gave me medication. They gave me some steroids and antibiotics. They just said, you possibly have pneumonia. So from that point, having, just doing their regular thing when you have pneumonia, they just give you the antibiotics, giving you the prednisone, and they sent me on my way. Got
Mhm.
home, I think it may have been a week, and then in that time frame in that week, I wasn't getting any better. I didn't feel any better. I still felt really drained. So I went back to the doctor again, and at that point, they saw my saturation was low enough to they needed to transfer me to the hospital, to the main hospital. So
Okay.
at that point, went there, did CT scans, they scanned my lungs, checked my blood, and from that point, that doctor was saying, "Okay, it's possible you're gonna need a lung transplant." So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And once he said I needed a lung transplant, I said, okay, where do we go from here? What's next? He's like, well, we're gonna have to transfer you to the other main hospital that's in the medical center, and that's where they have the cancer patients and everything. They have that's where everything is down here in Houston, where they have
Mhm.
all the treatment, and they have all the doctors and from all over the world that come and help in these, like I said, the medical center. So that's
Mhm.
it's about five major hospitals that's there. So anyway, from that point, they did this kind of the same thing. They gave me high dose of steroids and also with antibiotics, and they like I said again, they went through the whole process, checking my lungs, checking things out, and from there I was in and out doing the same thing for about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, for in about a month span. Like I said, we're up from March to now we're in April, get to
Mhm.
the middle of April, and then that's when that hospital, when they said I needed a lung transplant, they were saying, "Oh, we can't do it for you because." Well, they basically was giving me a lot of runaround excuses. What the ultimate thing, what they said why they couldn't do it, it was basically because they were too new of a their program was too new for patients. So the risk
Oh,
that I was at of death versus them succeeding, they didn't want to take the risk. So that's what it
mhm.
ultimately wound up being. And so they reached out to the other hospitals, St. Luke's Hospital, CHI St. Luke's here in Houston. That's where I end up getting my actual lung transplant. But like I said, before that point happened, I was transferred. I was there for 2 days, and my lung function had dropped. I was on high flow oxygen with the mask and everything, and my saturation for my the oxygen level, it was just too high. So I started panicking because I was getting scared. But before
Mhm.
that point, I know my me and my dad were talking a lot. Talked to my mom, talked to my wife, and I'll never forget the point when my dad asked me. He said, "Son, he's like, do you feel like God is calling you home or something?" I was like, no, I don't feel like it's time to check out of here, nothing like that. He's like, well, pray about it and let God just lead you. And so that's what I did, and I told God, I surrender. Whatever you're gonna do, however you're gonna do it, I just need to get the strength to go through it. So
Okay.
when the point came where I needed to, basically, like I started getting a little nervous, started getting a little panicky,
Mhm.
and that was when my lung function basically went down. So they had to put me on a ventilator.
Mm.
Once they put me on that ventilator, I don't remember anything else until after I got my lung transplant. Uh,
Okay.
I was
Okay.
that
Let,
was
let,
that.
let me ask this now because I do know we talked about this yesterday. And before all of this, you had no recollection of this ever being in your family, correct?
Correct.
So how did that information come about?
So at the previous hospital, so like I said, I was in between two hospitals, Memorial Hermann and then CHI St. Luke. So at Memorial Hermann, they did what they called the workup, and I mean, they did everything from bone marrow to genealogical testing. I mean, they did a really big thing, and I had good insurance, so of course they're gonna run every test they could.
Okay.
So that was when they did the biological genealogical testing. That's when they saw, okay, this possibly is because they asked my dad, my mom and dad were there. That's when they go through the whole family history and asking them, hey, what could this possibly be? And that's when my dad was saying, like, oh yeah, I just got diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. I'm sorry, I'm moving too fast. So what I got diagnosed with, the disease is called pulmonary fibrosis. But because they couldn't figure out which type of pulmonary fibrosis I had, they called it idiopathic. So I was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And like I said, my dad was also diagnosed with the idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis because they just couldn't figure out what type it is. It's not COPD, it's not sarcoidosis, nothing like that. So those are the things that, like I said, they just deem it as idiopathic. So from that point, and even my dad was saying, "Oh, maybe my father had it back in the day, and they just couldn't test for it because it was so long ago." So that's how they kind of was maybe, "Oh yeah, this might be genetic." And again, kind of seeing how things kind of went. My dad, he just lost his bout with the pulmonary fibrosis this past August. So yeah, our family is still, going
Mm.
with that loss because yeah, he just said he didn't want us dealing with it anymore. He didn't want us dealing with the same thing that we went through with me. And
Mm.
it's unfortunate, my family is yeah, like I said, my dad was he was the patriarch. So it's a little tough, but at the end of the day, I had a great father, so it's nothing that I'm like super like, oh, just oh my god, and it's I knew it's God's time, and at the end of the day, He's still giving us strength, the day by day. Uh,
Okay. So I
yeah,
want to just give
yeah, that's yeah.
Show a picture of honoring your father, Brian White Senior.
Mhm.
Um, so I wanted to just make sure that we honor him, guys. And again, he lost his father in August, so we want to make sure that we give him that recognition, and just really just want to honor his father, and honor his mother, because I'm a widow, so I know what kind of pain that is to just kind of lose your husband, which is also again why I fight so hard for organ donation, because I don't want another person to have those tears and endure what what we're dealing with. So my prayers to you and your father. It's still fresh. That's August. That was yesterday. To some people. So um, thank you for being here, and surrendering and just telling God that you got to go through it. But I know this story is going to be able to help somebody. And I look and see where my stories go on Facebook, and I pop in rooms and I see it, and I say I didn't even know my that you all supported me that way. So for all of you that support Transplant Talk with Nashonda, I truly love you and appreciate you. I really do. I wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you so very much. But I do also want to show a picture of your family, because you mentioned your family um there. So as you can see, this is a beautiful family, and while we do organ donation, this double lung transplant recipient has more time to be with those kids. And, they get to love on him some more. And so, speaking of your kids, I love what you said on yesterday about being able to, how your kids handled this time. So, can you share a little bit about how this affected your kids a little bit?
Um, my kids are really strong. My kids are they something else. I would say that it didn't affect them, but I know it did. But they're strong, and that was the thing that really helped me to know that they were okay. They did have some some sad times because there was a lot of uncertainty of what was going on with me. But the one thing I've always taught them is that you have to rely on God. You have to lean on God when hard times come. And this was a really hard time for us in the family. So
Mhm.
this was the time that they kind of took what and applied what was being taught to them. Okay, now I have
Mhm.
a actual demonstration of how I have to apply this. So once they did, of course, God did exactly what he said he was going to do. He showed up for them, and he gave them strength. He gave them the encouragement. He let them keep going through their day to day, and encouraging each other. I told them, y'all call each other, see how each other's doing. When this is before I had gone down, when they couldn't talk to me, and at the time, my youngest daughter, she couldn't come in. This was before COVID, but
Right,
still,
right.
she was young enough to they weren't allow her because I was in ICU, so they wouldn't allow her into the ICU areas and things of that nature. So, but my son and my oldest daughter, they were able to come in and be able to see me and things of that nature. So yeah, it was tough for them. They were in the hospital room, they were there, but they were really more so trying to encourage each other and encourage the family and as best they could. But I know that they are definitely some very strong kids, and I love them as much as I can now. I continuously guide my son. One day he's gonna be a man, and my daughter, she's 20 and she's out doing her thing now, and the youngest, she wants to do everything right now. So yeah.
Of
Hmm.
course she does. But let's go back to the where you were under, when they put you under. Now I do remember when they put my husband under, and he was under for a couple of days, and when he came to, he was telling us all of these dreams that he was having. Do you remember any other dreams? Because we haven't even told them how long you were under. So let's tell the audience that. How long did they put you on that ventilator?
I was on a ventilator for about 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on the ventilator for about 6 weeks. And my wife was she's always reminding me all the stuff I had to go through. So
Of
I was on
course.
the ventilator and the ECMO machine. Let me make
Oh,
sure
you
I
did the
clarify,
ECMO.
because that's what was having to keep me alive. Those two machines, and like I said, this woman here and my mother and father, they were the ones that were in there talking with these doctors and making sure that they were doing what they needed to do. Every time they would come back and tell them, "Oh, this is all we could do. We have nothing else we could do," they would say, "Okay, y'all need to go figure it out. Y'all got all
Mhm.
these degrees, all y'all combined. There's a lot of degrees between y'all, so y'all need to go figure it out," because they just didn't have it in them either that it was time for me to go. So like I said, I was on the ECMO machine as well as the ventilator for about 6 weeks.
Wow.
And those dreams, yeah, they were something else, because
Mhm.
I was fighting demons. I was fighting demons for the people that were in my room.
Wow.
My pastor and my brothers at church, they were in my room. I mean, I can vividly remember the demons that were standing next to them and standing around them and trying to, you know, influence them in some type of way. And I couldn't have it. I think in most of my dreams that kept switching, it was something demonic that frustrated me. It was more of
Mhm.
the frustration, like, no, and it was always the devil was trying to say, all right, just let go. All right, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to. I remember, and here go one of the crazy ones. I was on a conveyor belt. I
Like the
was on a
airport?
conveyor. I was on a conveyor belt, like I was being wheeled off, like I was dead, like I was gone, like my family was passed, and they was on the conveyor belt to cremate me. That's what it was. And my wife was on one side. I think the doctor was on another. And I remember maybe my dad was in the room, and they were just consoling each other. And I'm sitting up there looking at them like, man, I'm alive. What's wrong with y'all? Like I got up, I stood up on the conveyor belt and started dancing and everything. Like, what is wrong with y'all? Like I'm alive, but I'm steady moving towards the fire.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I wasn't having it. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not going nowhere.
That's where I want to go.
No. So I mean, and I had different dreams like that where I traveled through time.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
yeah, it was pretty funny. It is pretty.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
And after that, I came out everything. I still with all the medication I was on, because I was on the Purple and fentanyl and every other all that had to keep me sedated. Because
Uh-huh.
that's my wife was saying that I kept fighting my sedation, and
Mhm.
I would keep waking up, or I kept going into cardiac arrest, because and I think that's a lot. Maybe it had to do with some of those dreams I was having where
Mhm.
I wasn't giving up. I just got, and I kept praying in my dreams. I remember praying and asking God to keep, helping me and everything else. And he kept coming, and that's the rest is history. Because once they gave me the lungs, that was it.
Wow. But you said you did pass away twice.
Yes, like I said, I went into cardiac arrest a few times, but it was twice that they actually had to bring me back. I actually passed away. I flatlined, and they had to bring me back. Yep.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was twice during the surgery that, yeah, they had to bring me back.
Wow. And you here. And you here to tell a story.
Amen. Amen. Yes,
Come
ma'am.
on. Come on. That's what we're supposed to do because you definitely got a testimony and you already been through the test. And so that's what people don't understand. That for every test is a testimony, and that is for you to tell somebody else about what you've been through. So we grateful that you're here to tell it because some people still want to be quiet, and a lot of men want to be quiet, about what they've experienced when we need to know how we're supposed to fight that good fight. And I think every time I think when people see me, they say, girl, you've been through a lot. You still here. I don't like when people see me and they're like, oh, Nashonda, like, don't pity me. Don't pity me. I don't want your pity. Pray
Yeah.
for me.
Mhm.
Don't pity me. Just pray for me and just continue to pray for my strength. And that's what I need. But I want to know about the day because I promise I won't hold you long. I want to know
Oh,
about the
I'm here.
day
I'm here.
you got your lungs. Tell us about that experience.
Once I received my lungs, they had to do their due diligence to make sure it was a good fit, the match and everything. The person that who actually my donor, once again, I thank God for him and his family for making that decision, because He I wasn't the only one that was a recipient of of limbs, so to speak. And it came at the right time. I mean, it literally came at the last hour because, like I said, with all the medicine and all the, the different machines that I was on, they were just kind of at that point where they saying, you all as a family, you all gonna have to make a decision. And so once I was able to, like I said, they had to match the blood type, the my chest cavity, um, my melanin, all that had to play a factor. Culture, I mean not culture, but I was just gonna say just because I'm African American, yeah, that does play a part in donation as well, in some aspects. So because I think they had a some he said it's some type of fungal bacteria that we get as African Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just us. It's nothing like really bad. It was something that sat at the bottom of his lungs, and they said that it's something that just occurred over time. He wasn't a smoker or drinker, anything like that, but they just said it's something that's prone to happen in African Americans. We have this
Wow.
type of fungal bacteria in our lungs. So but again, so once I got my lungs and I came off my sedation and things like that, I immediately, first of all, I was hungry
It
and
was
thirsty.
you was
So I was ready to get going. I'm like, okay, when I actually came to it, they told me like you got your transplant. I was like, okay, so it's time to go, right? I'm good to go. They was like, no, Mr. White, it's not time to go yet. So they had I had to go through the process. I didn't even know my limbs were I was in atrophy where I couldn't move. I couldn't move my
right.
legs and my arms. I had a little I think it's neuropathy when your nerves are messing with you because
Mm-hmm.
my toes and my face, I still have numbness in my face, but I also had it in my toes and in my legs and in my arm where because that ECMO machine was pumping blood in and out of my body, that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of one of those side effects. So they had to give me other medications, had to monitor that as well. And then again, I was ready to go. Just keep that in mind
You say
because
let's go.
I think I
Well,
was out of there in 2 weeks. I
okay.
was gone,
Okay.
and I
But
had to walk up the stairs of my apartment. Go
okay.
ahead.
But I was just saying you had to learn how to do all of this stuff over again, learn how to
Mhm.
walk and
Right.
swallow just all of this stuff to learn over again. And I know
Right. I
you
had to do the
said
swallow testing. Yeah, they had to
yes,
bring those people in. Yes, ma'am.
yes, yes. So, that was a journey. That was another journey that you endure. And I mean, you look at you still here, to tell your story, which is a beautiful thing. Yes, everybody, this is definitely, a beautiful story. But I know, and we talk about mental health on our show as well. Where was this and how did this affect you mentally? Mentally, where were you finding out all of this news? And now you're on medications. And so, how did this affect your psyche, your mental capability?
It was pretty tough. I think the main thing that was the toughest is losing control. I don't have any more control. I
Oh,
can't get up
wow.
and go. I can't go move. I can't do what I want to do. So I think that was the toughest thing for me was not having the control to do mentally what I thought my body is supposed to do.
Right.
So I kept trying to do more than what I guess my body was capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it was tough, like I said. And like I said, my wife was here. She got a little bit of it, because like I said, it was mentally, yes, mentally that was the toughest part, is just kind of figuring, okay, I in my mind I'm okay, or I want to go do this, or I want to go do that, but body is saying, no, sir, you're not there yet. Even with the breathing, learning how to breathe. I had, I got my scar here, and my chest cavity had to be come back together,
Right.
and that was tough. So like I said, learning how to move and what position I can move in the bed, or when I'm sitting up, or how I got to breathe a little different because any breathing ache, I'm hurting, and
Okay.
being frustrated because I'm hurting, or how long it's taking, that was my biggest thing. It's like, man, this is taking too long. I'm like, come on, man.
Mm.
And I had a lot of nights I cried because I'm like, man, this is taking too long for me, not
Right.
for what my body needed, but
Right.
for me mentally. I'm like, this is taking too long
Mm-hmm.
for me to get back to where I need to be. And
Okay.
again, I had to go back to, okay, God, you're fixing me and you're putting this on me. So give me the patience. Okay, I know I've asked, I prayed for patience before. All right, doggone it, here it goes. You know.
I try not to. I'm like, look, I ain't patient, Lord. I'm not. Please don't. I try not to pray for patience, but we know that they have to come, and I definitely think I have the patience of Job sometimes. So I totally understand, especially being a teacher. You gotta have the patience of Job because those children fix it. Jesus, let me tell you, high school kids,
Yeah,
they
I
gonna
got two of them, two teenagers. Hmm.
they gonna touch a nerve. They gonna touch
Hmm.
a nerve.
That's okay
So
because I touch theirs too. That's all right. We touch each other's nerves.
we gonna touch and agree. That's what
There
we
you
gonna
go.
do.
There
We
you go.
gonna touch and agree. So now that you have gotten this far, um, tell us about your regimen, your medications. How many medications are you taking now?
From the time I started, I was at about 20 to 24 meds. Now I'm at about 13 to 15. It just kind of varies. It's gone down a little bit, just with time and things that I don't have to be on. Like I don't have to have as much bacterial medications or preventative medications. That's what a lot of meds that I had been on, and they've come down in doses. Like my prednisone, I started at about 70 a day and I had to do this taper thing. I did that. I did it maybe 3 times, and I think that was one of the. That's also the biggest thing that bothered me was the prednisone.
Right.
That prednisone and being on them steroids like that and getting big,
Mm-hmm.
it bothered me mentally very much so. Because
Right.
prior to my lung transplant, I lost a lot of weight. I had worked hard to lose that weight.
Let me show that picture. This what we talked about.
Yeah, I gotta get back smaller than that. Yeah, I was actually a little bit smaller than that. Yeah,
Oh
but
wow.
I gotta get back to
Wow.
that guy.
Right.
But
But
and
you
then
here. You here now.
yeah, I'm
You
here.
just say you
And
don't want to get too small. You here. We just want you here. We just want you
yep,
here.
but
Yeah. Wow.
those
Wow. So,
meds, yeah, that's I'm at now with the medications. I'm down to 5 milligrams of prednisone a day. So
mhm.
thank you, Jesus, that
This-
it's manageable. It is manageable. I'm
okay.
able to get out and get to the gym. But the only thing, the downside to this prednisone is the cravings I be having. I have these
Right.
sweet cravings, and I didn't have sweet cravings before like that. But
Um,
now I got some sweet cravings. But I was I had to have a second surgery. I had to have a bariatric surgery because of the prednisone. So
okay.
that's
Okay.
that was kind of a side effect of it.
Okay. But you remember I asked you, with your donor, do you think you got anything, maybe your donor was a sweet tooth person, maybe the donor had a sweet
Yeah,
tooth
it could have been.
and now that's what you're craving.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you're right.
you
You're
know,
right. Other
right.
than that, I don't know what else it could have been because other than that's me. I mean, my wife she said when I got my lungs and after a little bit after I was meaner, but I just thought it's because I just couldn't move around and get to doing what I wanted to do, so I was a little frustrated. But
Yeah. And it's the
other than that, yeah,
medication.
I don't know.
The medication sometimes too, that medication kind of changes people, the chemistry in your body and all that kind of stuff. So you got to be aware of that factor too. But you hanging in there, you doing what you're doing. Now you did not go back to work, correct?
No, I haven't been back to work. I'm not going back to work. Especially it was kind of it wasn't funny, but it's kind of the way things kind of work out. I was doing the whole mask and making sure I was sanitized and everything 6 to 8 months before the pandemic hit.
Right,
So once
right.
it hit, I was already prepared because I had already been in that regiment beforehand.
Okay.
Limited where I went. I was in the house and everything else. So at this point now, yeah, because of that, I haven't been back to work or anything like that. But again, God is great because I ain't missed a meal. We
Come
haven't missed
on,
a bill. I mean,
come on.
we got gas in the car. We can move around, and I can pay my tithes. So I'm not.
Well, come on, tide offering.
Yeah, I ain't. I'm not. I give God all the glory because we don't. Mm-mm. That was the thing. I just make sure I kept really paying attention to what he needed, what he wanted out of me, and not continuously trying to do it the way I wanted to do it. And that's what, like I said, when I was down and I kept feeling like, oh, I got to get up. I want to get up. I want to move. I want to do this. I want to do that. I said, okay. And he's like, no, you ain't going nowhere. You're not doing nothing, buddy. I even asked the doctors, so how long y'all think it is until I go back to work? They kept looking at me like, Mr. White, you're not going back to work anytime soon. So now we 2 years into it. Now I'm like, okay, well, they said I ain't got to go back to
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But you do other things, and I know we talked about, you have you're also a part of a bowling team. So
Yes,
that's
man.
good.
Yeah.
That's good, Mama. He's bowling, Mama. You might get give him some pointers, Mama. Um,
I got to get better
with
myself first before I give
yeah.
anybody some pointers.
Oh no, my mama was a beast with bowling. Now she
Oh,
was,
okay.
and she do them tournaments. So we always knew our mama would drag us to the bowling alley, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely familiar with that. But I'm not. I'm about to let you go, but I just want you to tell somebody that is on the fence about organ donation why they should become an organ donation. How did it change your life?
Whew. You should become an organ donor because it's not about you. At the
Oh,
end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's not about you anymore. Or for that person that needs something that you've been blessed with, you can also be a blessing. Paying it forward, however you want to look at it, it is something that you have been blessed with, and you have had the abilities to, so somebody else can continue on. And that's just I believe that's how God continues to work through us, through humanity, through His people, is that we all are here to help each other, in some way, shape, form, and fashion. Jesus came to help humanity. So,
okay.
I mean, it's only right, if we're Christian, if we are Christ like, that we have to continue to help each other. So, if you're on the fence about it, just reconsider. Just think to yourself, if it was me that needed this, if it was my mom or my dad or somebody that's my anybody that's that close to you, if they needed it, how you would want somebody else to be there for them. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, and it has definitely been a blessing to me, my family. I can't be selfish. I mean, even though I've had a lung transplant and I can't donate anymore, I even asked them, can I still donate something? I mean, I know something else is still good. They's like, no,
Mhm.
unfortunately, Mr. White, you can't, because, the medications you're on, this, that, and the other. I was like,
Right.
man, not a toe or nothing. It's like, no, Mr. White, you can't donate your toe.
No.
You know, I'm like, no, I know something will still be good by the time. They're like, well, Mr. White, unfortunately. But that's just how much I was still, before I, had to have my transplant, I was a donor. So,
Okay.
and I still, and that's why I knew that was important to, if somebody needed it, they can have what I had that can be a
Mm.
blessing to them. So yeah,
Amen. Amen. I thank you so very much. And I hope
I thank
someone
you. Thank
heeds
you.
to your word about becoming an organ donor. And Shell already saying that we got to sign you up for transplant games. You got to go to the
What's that?
transplant games.
Oh,
See,
we talking about it.
yes, yes, we gotta do it's for recipients that have that received a transplant and they go there. It's like the Olympics.
Okay.
So they have they have the opportunity to go there and compete in the games. I had Tay, he's gone there, he won his gold medals, and they feel like they real, Olympians at that point. So it's something to recognize the people that have actually gone through the struggle and the
Okay.
journey through transplant. So we definitely gonna talk about it. I have a few people that have been there. I want to say Renee also went, and had that experience. So yeah, we're gonna check into it. We're gonna try to get a transplant team together.
Okay.
But I think it's by the state. So we just have to
Okay.
see. But I just want to go and just see how that works because I think that would be awesome. And I think the next one will be in California. So
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna look forward to that. Yes, Shell, we. That's where
Absolutely.
we go.
Yeah. I ain't been
That's
to
where
California since I was a little kid.
yeah, so that's where we are going to go. So I thank you for your time. God bless you.
God
Keep
bless you too.
striving, keep
Thank
drumming.
you for your work. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Oh my God, it is a blessing that God is continuously moving you forward with what you're doing, and I continue to pray for your anointing and everything that is going forward. So you keep doing what you're doing. You
Thank
you
you.
you doing the work, sister. You
Thank you
definitely
so
are.
thank you so much. I always love to say Emmett gave me the force. I'm the force behind the voices of organ donation and
Thank you.
transplant.
And we need it.
So,
We
yeah,
definitely need it. Thank you so much.
especially in the African American community.
Correct.
So go enjoy. I know it's 6:50 something here. It's there. It's 7 something here, almost 8 o'clock here. So I thank you so much. I'm gonna put you behind backstage for a minute and don't go nowhere.
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
be
I'll
right
be
back.
here. All
Thank
right.
you so much again. All right. Okay, guys. So thank you all again for watching another episode of Transplant Talk with Nashonda. And God bless you all. This weekend is one of the best university in all the land at HBCU. I do bleed orange and green. I love my beloved college, Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida. So we'll be out there this weekend having a good time, masked up. Okay. I don't care. We're going to have a mask on and we're going to make sure that we keep ourselves safe. So, in all of your getting, get understanding and don't forget to become an organ donor. Until next week, God bless you. Good night.